Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to MBNA's October 2025 monthly meeting. Today, we're going to be discussing a very important topic, which is the permitting condo laws that have passed this past year, and what will condo laws look like this coming year. And we have today a very special guest joining us, Senator Chevron Jones, followed by Commissioner Joe Magazine, and Michael Gongora, a shareholder at Becker. After the special presentation, we'll continue with updates from our working groups, including the Homelessness Working Group by Patricia Agnello, the Beach and Water Quality Working Group by Oscar Vasquez, our Transportation Working Group, and our others as well. So I want to thank everyone for being here today. We also have a few special guests that are with us. We have Antonia, who is an aide. If you'd like to introduce yourself. Thank you, Antonia, for being here. Blake Govan, if you'd like to introduce yourself, the Chief of Staff for Mayor Minor.
Hi, Anna Marie. Hi, Blake Govan, Deputy Chief of Staff for Mayor Minor.
Thank
Great
you.
to see everyone.
Alberto, the aide to Commissioner Dominguez.
Hi, everyone. Alberto here with Commissioner Dominguez's office.
Thank you, Alberto. Isabella and Luis, who I know that you'll be introducing yourselves in just a moment on behalf of Commissioner Magazine. And is there Jackie on behalf of Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez?
Hi, MidBeach. Thank you, Anna Maria, for having us.
Is there anyone else that I have missed?
Hi, yes, this is Sydney Alonso, aide to Commissioner Fernandez. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Sydney. So, Senator Jones, I see that you have joined us. Or Senator Jones's office is with us.
Here.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I believe you're in Tallahassee right now in committee, and you've taken time out to meet with the MidBeach Neighborhood Association. We're really honored to have you. I know you've been so busy, and you have such a wide area right now that you're representing. You're a long-standing elected official and throughout our communities here in Miami-Dade, and we're very honored that you represent the MidBeach community. This past year has been a unique year, really ever since the tragedy. We've seen condo laws change drastically, and many of our condominiums and our members are facing what we've seen internal changes to how they have to manage and govern their finances, changes to residents thinking, can they afford, can they not, to continue to live in condominiums? What are some of the structural changes that need to happen? How critical is it to make those changes happen sooner than later? And with the recent Miami Herald article that pointed to the leaks in the pool cascading into eventual collapse and tragedy close by, all of these properties are concerned in the MidBeach area. And so we wanted you to share a little bit with us, what has the legislature done in response and what is there left to do? And of course, we'll get to the main question, which will be that permitting question afterwards. So thank you so much for being here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Anna Marie, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all. I will be remiss if I did not say that Anna Marie is an advocate for MidBeach and very persistent and a good friend. And so, Anna Marie, I really truly appreciate you for even inviting me to have this conversation, and with the hopes that even after or even before the legislative session, we can talk through some of the things that will probably be on the agenda for the next legislative session and after. But I also want to say good evening to the residents. It's an absolute pleasure to represent you all in Tallahassee. And Anna Marie, you're absolutely correct. There were quite a few different changes that took place. You know, after Surfside in 2021, I believe the legislature moved extremely quickly. The first wave of reform that we saw set an extremely high bar when it came to safety, but it also, I think, it created confusion and a financial strain in that first iteration. I do want to publicly shout out, though, Senator Pizzo and Senator Jennifer Bradley, because they, and I did this on the floor also, because they have spent the last few years traveling across the state, listening to directly to condo owners, listening to boards and associations, and their work really has been key in shaping these reforms that we seeing today, starting with the original post side changes in 2021, and now with the updates that we're discussing today. And I know you all are going to have a more robust conversation with some individuals who are more qualified than I am to talk about it, but they'll come and speak to it after. I did break the conversation up into three big areas, and because these big areas were areas that were extremely important to residents as whether they spoke up in committee, whether they spoke to our office, or even there were concerns whether it's through email. The first thing I'll start with is the inspections and the reserve studies. If you all remember, in 2021, milestone inspections and structural integrity reserves, also known as SARs, became mandatory. And it was a huge shift, but the deadlines were extremely aggressive and the rules were extremely rigid. In HB 913, I think the attempt was to improve some of that. By extending the deadline for completion for the reserve studies to December 31st, for example, which allowed for more breathing room than the 2020 law allowed. We raised the threshold from $10,000 to $25,000, so the small ticket items that don't need the mandatory reserve can be paid for. It allowed for the pool reserves instead of keeping every category separate, which gave the flexibility that wasn't allowed in 2021. The clarification that came was the clarifying of the milestone inspection and making sure that it only applied to those buildings, which was extremely important because many associations who were not in buildings that were higher than 3 stories had extremely high concerns with it. So it only applied to those buildings with 3 or more of those habitable stories, which was a gap that we saw in 2021. So compared to 2021, it now gives owners get more time, more flexibility, and I believe there's more clear rules. When it comes to the financial aspect of it, in 2021, the main tool to cover the cost was the special assessment. And so that meant sudden and high bills for the owners. In 913, some new options were given. So, for instance, the association can now use loans or they can use lines of credit. So that gives them the opportunity to spread the cost over time instead of hitting the owners all at one time. And the second thing was also ensuring that any funding method that was outside of the regular assessment, now it requires a majority of all the owners, which is a much stronger voice than we saw that was under the 2021 law, and also allow for where the reserves can be placed in investments like CDs and credit unions accounts without any special vote. And so that's a big improvement that we saw from the limited funding options that we saw originally in 2021. And the last thing I'll hop on, because this, if nothing else, was extremely asked about, concerns that came to our office and the concerns that we heard in committee, and that's the governance, transparency, and records. The 2021 law improved the access to documents and it allowed for the mobile apps, which could be used as an alternative for the websites. If you look at HB 913, those accountabilities have been strengthened. Right now, it says that in 913, board meetings can officially be held by video conference, and those recordings become part of the official records. But the biggest thing was it pertains to if asked by the voters if they want to e-vote. And so the threshold was if 25% of owners asked for e-voting, the board must implement that within 21 days. As it pertains to the records, whether the budgets, the minutes, the inspections, or the reports, all of those things must be uploaded to the association to the website within 30 days. And my last town hall meeting that I did, a point came up where individuals spoke about where his association was not following that part of the particular law. The last thing I'll say when it comes to the governance and transparency, which was a big shift from 2021, and that was that if a board member or a manager, if they intentionally withhold these records, is now a second-degree misdemeanor, and they must be removed from office if they are convicted. So that penalty is stronger than it was in 2021. And there were some other things that was done in the legislation, but I don't want to monopolize on the time. But what I will end with, and we can dialogue from here, is that in 2021, the law, it acted quickly after Surfside. As you all know, Senator Pizzo and Senator Bradley, they went right to work, and so we knew that there would be some changes that would have to be made in this last legislative session. And I must admit that there will be changes in the next upcoming legislative session that we would see. But again, we acted swiftly, but it was rigid and it was financially heavy. In 2025 with HB 13, and we saw the work that was done. We saw the complaints that came in. And so now we have more time. You have more flexibility in funding. You have stronger transparency requirements and better protections that exist. And so as we see this system that continues to evolve, I want us all to know that at the end of the day, we have to figure out where's the balance here, right? And so it's all about safety, but we also have to be practical, and I get that. So there's been progress that's been made, and it's important for us to just continue to understand that both of the responsibilities and the relief that this will bring. And I'm looking forward to some of the concerns that you all might have, and even some of the ideas that you all would love for me to even amplify this legislative session. And I will pause here and just open it up to take any concerns here. And again, I might not have all the questions, all the answers, but my office is on this call, and so they can absolutely take notes, and I can get back with those questions with you as soon as possible.
Thank you so much, Senator. That was a great overview. And I really appreciate that you've been listening to folks and hearing some of those pain points, even with just transparency and the requirements around board members and how the legislation, how it's been tweaked from year to year, from session to session. Before we go to Patricia Agnello, I do want to ask, because I know you have just a few more minutes with us, for those buildings that are right now facing needing to make those structural repairs, that many of our buildings here on MidBeach are older and need to go through this process. And as they're going through this process, what we're hearing is that it is painful to receive the permitting or to have a process that allows them to expedite repairs that are critical, repairs that need to happen, repairs that have probably cost them a lot of time and a lot of money to just build consensus and receive the support from their board, from their leadership, and from the residents and from management to move forward. So what can the state do to help support that process? Is this something that has already been discussed within the legislature? Is this something that you foresee in the 2026 session? And is it something that we in MBNA should mobilize, should get our members together, discuss a little bit about what those pain points are, and see you in Tallahassee? What would you recommend?
I'll be honest with you. I would not even say that it's a either or. I would say that it's both and when it comes to this, right? I do one, for transparency, there's no conversation of that's happening right now that I know of. I will tell you that you all are not the only ones who are having this issue, because even within my last town hall meeting, that is what absolutely came up. My suggestion, the
one that was at Ball Harbor, was that the last
that's
one?
Right. Okay. That's right. But my suggestion would be, it would be for MidBeach Association to galvanize now, and I'll tell you all why. Many people think when sessions start is the best time to start advocating for these things, and it's not. The best time to start these conversations is right now while we're in committee, because now you're in the process of while bills are being filed and things that need to be changed, or if bills need to be filed for these type of changes that need to be made. And I'll end with this, and I can go over a little bit if we go past 6:15, Anna Marie. But what I will say is that if this needs to be a legislative change, then we would need to figure that out now, so we can get the bill in drafting, so it can be a legislative change. But if it's an agency change, then we can go to the agency and get clarification on that for you.
Thank you. So if you're saying, if it's a systems change or a policy change, either way, we should mobilize, we should get 100%. We should really be able to articulate what we need, what we want, and go to our representatives now. Now we only have a couple of minutes. I'm going to have Patricia ask her question, and then we're going to move on to Commissioner Magazine's team. Patricia?
Thank you very much, Anna Maria, and thank you again, Senator Jones. There seems to be a little bit of a loophole, though, in the recording of the meetings on Zoom. And the loophole seems to be, and I'm hoping that maybe you could address this at the next session. If you have the meeting on Zoom and it's a visual, like our meeting is today, everyone's photoed, then the meeting has to be kept online for a year. However, if it's audio only, you do not have to make that meeting available.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that, Patricia, because I'm gonna be very frank with you. I did not know that, and it is absolute loophole. Again, Kai or Carrington from my office is on here, and so what I will do is allow me to one, I like to get your email address because I want to get clarification if there is clarification needed, and send that back to you. If that is a loophole, I know that there is a condo package that will be filed again this year. And if that is a loophole, we will make sure that we speak with Senator Bradley and Senator Pizzo, who would probably be the individuals to carry it, to be able to bring that forward to them.
Thank you very much, Senator. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
And Patricia is a lead of the homelessness working group for MBNA. You can also email MBNA the general email.
Okay.
I'll sure that Patricia receives it and other members as well. We're going to transition now to Commissioner Magazine. Senator Jones, we are so grateful that you were able to take time out of your committee meeting to meet with us, but please go back and continue to do the great work that you're doing. I see your contact information in the chat, and we will be in touch. Thank you for your words of
Senator Jones
and recommendation.
Senator Jones,
sorry,
apologies, Anna Marie. Senator Jones, sorry, from Commissioner Magazine's office, we just like to say thank you and let you know that we're going to try to do something in the city that mirrors the legislation that you're talking about, just so we can, make it quicker on the city side. Obviously, there's permitting issues both on the city and the state side, but we want to, come together and work as much as possible. So if your team ever wants to reach out, so we can do something together, we would love to work together.
Stay Les Lewis. I'll take you up on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. So now we're going to move to Commissioner Magazine's item. Thank you, Luis Atencio and Isabella Gomez, who's with us today. On
Hey, everyone.
Hi. Hello, Isabella.
Hi, how are you? It's Isabella from Commissioner Magazine's office.
Yes. So
Thank you.
I saw that Commissioner Magazine had to unexpectedly be in Vancouver today. And so we're going to go ahead and listen for his video for this item, but we have been in discussion. So MBNA, as you all know, meet with our elected officials continuously. We are constantly in between every one of these meetings, working really hard behind the scene. The executive board meets once a week for 30 minutes, and then there's working group meetings. And so hopefully this is an item that we'd like to see prioritized in ending this annual year and kicking off strongly in May. So here's a message from Commissioner Magazine.
Hi, everybody. It's Commissioner Joe Magazine. I apologize for not being there in person with you. I unfortunately got stuck on a business trip up here in beautiful but very brisk Vancouver, and I'll be back later on in the week. There's nothing like getting back to Miami Beach, no matter where you are at in the world. We are truly blessed to live in the greatest city in the world. And I'd love to talk to you today about how we maintain that and make that even better. I'm not going to try and take up too much of your time. I want to thank the MBNA board. It is truly such a pleasure working with you. You're such a critical voice in advocating for not only your neighborhood, but really the entire city as a whole. So it's your involvement, your engagement that really are advocating for the best policies that we make as an elected body, but for your neighborhood. You're truly giving your local representation, and that's the vision that I'm going to look to carry out. Speaking of things that we've been working on, one, an update on the bollards for the MidBeach area. I've been working very closely with MBNA and city staff. The role that I'm really looking to play is really pushing along city staff. Right now, the timeline is we are at 30% design. So this wouldn't be looked to be completed until sometime in 2027. I understand the safety and security concerns there. We also have a large unfunded financing gap. So I'm really going to push city staff to be sure that we're doing this in a very cost-effective manner, we're respectful of those timelines and see if there's anything that we can do to really accelerate this, because I know this is a priority for the MidBeach Neighborhood Association, and that beach walk is just an amenity for our entire city. I also want to say hi to my friends and colleagues, Senator Chevron Jones, former Miami Beach Commissioner Michael Gongora. I know that you've been working front and center on some of the condo legislation, and I want to let you know that you're going to have a partner here in the city. Senator Jones, I know that you're talking about condo reform tonight. I'm going to look to bring legislation in October, and it was really spearheaded by the great ladies at the MidBeach Neighborhood Association, really putting this on my radar and bringing to my attention that Miami Beach needs to do our part, where when the state is looking to require things out of our homeowners, Miami Beach really has to accelerate that process, be respectful of our residents' times, and not prolong that permitting process. We have made tremendous strides in the building department, but I want to be sure that we push even further. So to the extent that some of these condo associations or buildings have to go with reforms and new plans for their pool decks and things like that, that Miami Beach is being very proactive in getting that out of the way. Being diligent, because of course, why we're in this situation is because safety, we need to be of the paramount importance. But Miami Beach, as a city administration, really has to do our part in accelerating the permitting process. Also, addressing the derelict buildings. This is a challenging issue. I am going to look to bring legislation for city staff, not only focus on the MidBeach Neighborhood Association, however, it is probably more problematic there than in many other areas, to actually do an inventory for some of these buildings that are just totally derelict. I know there's many on Indian Creek Drive. A couple went actually before the HPB in recent weeks. I want to give a shout out to Randy, who is doing a fabulous job representing not only the MidBeach Neighborhood Association, but the entire Miami Beach as a whole on the HPB. But to my recollection, I think that's the first land use appointment from the MidBeach Neighborhood Association that's on one of our land use boards. So Randy, keep doing a fabulous job in advocating for your neighborhood. But we're really going to look to get to the bottom of the derelict buildings. Like I said, I don't want to mislead. It's not an easy task. I'm not going to make these pie in the sky promises, but we do need to start with an inventory of the buildings that are abandoned, and then have a really honest discussion with us as elected officials, our city staff, but most importantly, your neighborhood, about how we're going to address those. You know, there's two ways in life. You can either address things through a carrot or a stick, and we need to really find out what is causing these buildings to languish, what the ultimate goal is, and how we can be proactive in really activating your neighborhood and giving you the proper Miami Beach and the MidBeach neighborhood that everybody deserves. So again, sorry if this is a bit long-winded. I apologize I couldn't be there in person. I always love coming up and seeing my friends, my neighbors, my colleagues. But thank you for giving me the time, and I'll see you back in Miami within the next 12 hours. Bye.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Magazine, for that message that was not only thorough and well thought, but covered the items that you're championing for us here in the MidBeach area, which are the bollards, the permitting, and the derelict buildings. We're going to take questions from members, and we're going to have staff help us work through some of those questions. But before we do, we're going to pause because of the holidays. MBNA has a hard time hosting an October meeting. Yom Kippur was last Wednesday, and today there's also members that are observing a holiday, and we have folks that are going to be departing from our meeting. And so I'd like to take a quick break from our meeting and have some introductions, allow them to speak before they go on to a service or celebration. So thank you, Michael Gongora, for being with us. If you can hold just one moment, and the team from Commissioner Magazine's office as well. So we have elections coming up in just a couple of weeks. You can begin voting, I believe it's October 18th or October 20th. It's very soon. Please check out the early voting dates. Make sure you have everything in order. We have some candidates that are here with us today. And so I'd like to, those of you that are candidates, if you could please raise your hands, and we will call on you to say a few words, Again, we had a great meeting in September. It was the first candidate forum of all. It was right before qualifying. And so it was really their kind of raw performance. So for those of you that will be attending MBUs or other candidate forums or have attended other ones, we encourage you to get to know them a little bit better. So Monica Mateo Salinas, he is raising her hand and she is with Group 1. Monica? If you could please unmute.
Now I'm unmuted. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Monica Mateo Salinas. It's a pleasure to join you this evening. I am running for Miami Beach Commission Group 1. I've been a resident for 16 years and I've been involved for about 15 and a half. I've been involved in my kids' PTSA. I was Nautilus Middle School PTSA president. I also work for 2 former commissioners and I am very proud of that role. I have government experience. I have a bachelor's degree from Michigan State University in public administration, public policy. And I know how to get things done. And I know the concerns of the MidBeach Neighborhood Association. I know about the promenade. I know about the sargassum issues. I know about the bike lane that's not concurrently painted green. I know about the continuous walkway in Indian Creek. And I want to support you 100% and get things done and get results for your neighborhood and for all neighborhoods, frankly. I'm really running to make Miami Beach better. Thank you for this opportunity. I am going to be attending Sukkot services later this evening, so I wanted to make sure I said hello. Also, real quickly, I've been endorsed by Commissioner Tanya Bott, endorsed by So Be Safe, which is a residents group. They advocate for safe Miami Beach, and I've been endorsed by the CWA Local 3178. And I would love to earn your trust and earn your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Monica. For being here and for sharing that and for taking time out of an evening of celebration. So thank you for being here and for your service. As you know, MBNA does not endorse any candidate, but we really are appreciative of you being here. Thank you. We received a message. I do see. Yes. Oh, there we go. I was about to share your message.
No, I was just about to pop off, but I have a couple seconds, so I wanted to just introduce myself yet again. Thank you, everyone, the opportunity for being here. My name is Monique Pardo Pope. I am also a candidate for Group 1. It is an honor and a pleasure to be with you all once again. In reference to Senator Jones's comments regarding legislative policy, this is my wheelhouse. This is what I love. It's a part of my passion. I'm a family law attorney. I'm a guardian ad litem. I've worked on legislative items in the past. I've helped pass bills in the past. I am a MidBeach resident. I am president of the St. Patrick's PTA. I am a small business owner in MidBeach. I have 2 small children. I own my home in MidBeach. I feel a kinship with our area, and I hope I can learn more about the needs that you consistently need. You can take a look at our presentation from our initial meeting together. And obviously we are working together in tandem to fight homelessness, to keep our streets safe, to assist small business owners, to work with sargassum, to ensure that we are a safer, smarter, stronger Miami Beach. I welcome you to learn more about me, Monique for Miami Beach. And again, if you have any questions, I'm going to put it in the chat. My cell phone number is 786-390-3542. I would love to engage further on any discussions around the policy concerns that you do have, that you do want to present to the committee. I think Senator Jones's point, addressing these issues now before session begins, is so imperative. And so again, leverage me, leverage any way that you can leverage me and my resources. That is what I am here to do. I am here to serve you, to work on behalf of you all. And again, always open lines of communication. Thank you so very much for allowing me to be here tonight with you. And again, I look forward to your support. Vote 138. And Anna Marie, the absentee ballots are actually arriving today. So hopefully you receive them and I can earn your support come November. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Monique. Appreciate that. I do not see any other candidates except Mayor Minor and Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez that are both current elected officials that are running against each other to serve in our highest elected office. If I missed you, please feel free to raise your hand. Thank you all. I only reason why I usually stick to agenda. I apologize, is simply because of the holidays and for those that are observing. Now, going back to our agenda, and I think what Monique just mentioned now is a great segue. We are very lucky that one of the founders of the MidBeach Neighborhood Association, he was our secretary. He also served as a commissioner for the city of Miami Beach for, I believe it was 8 years. And he is a condo lawyer and he represents properties. He understands this. When this has been ever since 2021, when different legislation was being proposed, he constantly was staying on top of it from day one. He was there. I'm going to allow him to do a better introduction than I am doing now, but he's currently a shareholder at the law firm and he can share a bit more. And Michael, after your introduction, if you could jump right in, the piece that Senator Jones was talking about, the voting piece, I think that's a piece that not everybody is as familiar with, that people can do this online voting. Many times individuals in MidBeach live in other areas or they're vacationing or they're traveling and they feel they have to do it around their annual meetings and their elections, but now that's no longer the case. Or is it? I heard him mention something about 25%. What does that mean? Please give us an introduction and jump right in.
Sure. Thank you, Anna Maria. Good to be with you all. Michael Gongora. I am board certified in condominium and plan development law. The new law that Senator Jones was talking about is they're trying to make it easier for people to vote. They are tired of the system we've used.
One second, Michael. Go back. Give me a little more of an introduction. How long did you serve on the commission for?
I served for 3 terms. I think it was 9 or 10 years. I started in a special term in 2006, and I served over 3 terms until the end of 2021.
Okay.
I was very involved in our condo legislation. I actually sponsored a charter amendment in 2013 that overwhelmingly passed for our city to offer condominium ombudsman services as a city. But for whatever reason, the city has never chosen to do it. It still remains one of my goals to see Miami Beach become more condo user friendly. We are a city where the overwhelming majority of our residents do live in condominiums, which is why so many groups like MidBeach Neighborhood and South of Fifth Neighborhood and West Avenue Neighborhood and so many others have popped up because these issues are of such prominence to those of us that live and own condominiums.
And you yourself reside in MidBeach in a condominium, correct? Or
I am.
Yes.
I do. I live in the MidBeach footprint. I am a neighbor. I've served on my board. I'm my association's own attorney. And I would venture to say I probably represent more associations in MidBeach as a lawyer than any other attorney at the moment. So I'm super involved and we're dealing with these issues all up and down the corridor. But the state, is the one that makes the laws. So 90% of the issues that impact us in condos come from state legislation. There are a number of changes that went into effect July 1st, which we're all still trying to understand and implement. One of the biggest that's coming up is with regard to elections, because most associations typically have their elections at the end of the year or beginning of the year. I think what Senator Jones was alluding to was they've now taken the position that associations have to allow people to vote electronically. And if you are an association that is not offering electronic voting, then you must have an alternative method for owners to vote via email. So this is kind of interesting. A lot of associations have chosen not to adopt electronic voting for whatever reason. If you haven't, you really should, because if you don't have electronic voting, you have to now designate an email where people can vote by email. You have to send them a form that gives them a space for them to type in their name and unit owner number. And it waives the secrecy of the whole ballots. You're just sending an email. And as long as they send an email vote to that email address by the scheduled time of the annual meeting and election, it must be accepted and counted as a vote.
Sorry, and I'm not a board member of my building. Actually, the president of our building is on the call today, so I apologize for not knowing this. You can't then use an app. I thought the legislation allowed us to now use an app, which could make that vote confidential, or you could confirm through a code and then make your vote. There's not a way to keep it confidential and electronic?
You can keep it confidential in person using the 2 envelope system that we've used since before I graduated law school. But if you vote via email, you waive confidentiality completely. If you vote
But
through
there's not an
electron,
app. I thought there was an app that allowed us to do where you receive a special code, you go in and it says, and then on the other end, on the administrator's end, it will say this code has been used, they've voted, but you then are able to vote confidentially and submit your vote.
no, that is incorrect.
Okay.
Even electronic voting, which I prefer to this new email system, people know who you vote for. Because you have to register an email that's going to submit the vote electronically. Whatever vendor you choose to work with, you need to send your vote to them. And I've seen the voting results. There is a way to track the votes. So, yes, it's confidential to most people, but it's not confidential to the electronic voting vendor. And they have had to share it with me at times. So it is something that people will be able to see. So if you're voting electronically, typically you are willing to waive your anonymity. Okay. Another thing that's sure.
No, go ahead. Tell us.
Okay. No, another thing that Senator Jones touched upon was the big changes that they made after Surfside with regards to all those safety laws, and in particular, the changes when it comes to SIRS, an acronym for Structural Integrity Reserve Studies. After many years where the legislature had allowed condominium associations to vote to waive or reduce reserves, last year in 24, they said no more. This is the last year that you can vote to reduce or waive reserves. You need to do full funding for these structural integrity reserves. You need to finish your study by the end of 24, and that's that, no more time. Well, there was a public outcry at the beginning of 2025. People were saying, we can't afford this. We can't afford to pay our assessments plus the structural integrity reserves. And many buildings, quite frankly, notwithstanding the requirement to do the study by the end of the year, hadn't done it. So in this year's session, the new law allows now for you to complete your structural integrity reserve studies by the end of this year. It also increased the monetary threshold for the reserve items from 10,000 to 25,000. So items less than 25,000 don't need to be included. And probably the biggest change was they said, okay, we're going to give you a couple of mechanisms if you don't want to have your assessments fully funded and paid for by residents. You can fund them through a special assessment. You don't have to do it through your regular assessments. You can special assess for SIRS, so it's a one-time hit. Two, you can get a line of credit or a loan, so you don't have to pay it at all. But if you are going to get a line of credit or a loan to fund your SIRS, it requires a majority vote of all voting interest in the building, meaning 50% plus one of the entire building, which is usually a large vote, more than typically was required previously when you only needed a quorum as defined by your bylaws. And they also allowed you to pause reserve funding if you could get unit owner approval again by a majority of voting interest. And it was because you were still completing work towards your milestone inspections. So if you were doing milestone work, certification work, structural work, and that money was needed to pay for that, you could go to your unit owners and pause SIRS funding for up to 2 years so you could complete those milestone repairs.
Okay.
So I think the state heard the public outcry, people really concerned about their financial ability to pay it. I have a couple of clients that we are going through the process of getting a unit owner vote to obtain a line of credit. And it's super confusing. Owners are confused. They're like, why would I vote to allow you to borrow money? And we have to go to the meeting and say, well, if you don't borrow the money, then you have to pay it now. And they're like, well, won't I have to pay it back later? And I'm like, yes, if you take a line of credit or a loan, you will have to pay it back. It's a question of whether you pay it now or whether you take a line of credit and spread it over time. But eventually the money will have to be repaid, obviously.
And many of the members that are on today's call are going through this process now. So I want to go ahead and open up to our membership. Does anyone have any questions for Michael as we continue with this conversation? Anything particular that you would like to consult or ask? So Michael, I have a question. As a former commissioner and a condo lawyer expert, what would you recommend with what we're looking to mobilize and advocate for? Is this realistic? Is it not? What would you recommend for our process as we look to ensure that there's a permitting process that is expedited at a city level so that buildings can make these changes as soon as possible?
Well, permitting is controlled exclusively by local government. So that's part of what I call the 10% of issues where the city does govern local condominiums. That change can be made by getting 4 of 7 commissioners to listen and assist. I can tell you from the time that I was there that we always were trying to make it easier for permitting. I'm not quite sure. It's difficult to get the administration on board because they're so concerned about process and if somebody could bring a cause of action. And sometimes you just have to be a little bold and say, we're going to make a change. We're going to figure out best practices in the region, and we're going to get really progressive. I think it's very difficult for condos, especially those that allow for shorter term rentals, and they've made it very difficult for them to get BTRs. I think it's very difficult for businesses to open. And that's really something that I'm concerned about as a resident, because if we don't have a commercial corridor, what does that mean? They go out and they raise our property taxes. They don't necessarily lower the budget, they just find another way to get there. So I think it's important in a city like Miami Beach that we make it easier for businesses to operate and open. And it's been really alarming how difficult it is. Also, if you're just a condo owner, sometimes doing simple work in your condo, you've seen how difficult it is to get a permit, to call for inspections. You might call for inspections and get one set of notes from an inspector and make all of those changes and think you're done. And then when you call for another inspection, you get a different inspector who gives you different notes. So one of the things that I like to push for when I was commissioner, and I think we still should, is a uniform set of inspections and notes so people can understand what they need to do and get it done rather than have a moving target.
Thank you so much. So if I heard correctly, just ensuring that our city is following those best practices for expedited but safe permitting practices and having a standard list of comments for inspections or role. And Joe, I see that you are on camera. Is there something that you wanted to say?
Yes, I want. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Michael. My name is Jozo Lazovic, and I'm a board member, Mason Grande. And thanks for explaining this structural integrity reserve. And we did void it, actually, I'm sorry, not void it, but we did vote it on 24 not to participate. And we are planning to do same thing on 25 because of $39 million budget that we had in 2019 and 22. So we're doing pretty much a lot of new and a lot of repairs in the building. My question to you is that a good idea to wait till we finish the project of $39 million to really see how much we need a reserve, or maybe we should participate in 2026, not to go through the vote of this year?
Well, first of all, I like Mason Grande. I'm very familiar with it. I used to be your lawyer years ago, and you share the same initials as me. So I like your MG when I walk up to the door.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I heard about you, and I might contact you via email most likely tomorrow. I would like to continue talking to you regarding services also.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. There really is no cookie cutter answer because every building and their membership and their finances are different. If you're a building that's trying to keep cost as low as possible now, meaning assessments as low as possible, then taking one of these votes with regard to the SERS, either to obtain a line of credit or to suspend them because of structural repairs, may be a good idea for your building. We'd have to better understand what your goals are and what your financing needs are. $39 million is a lot of money. I assume you're doing a certification project. That's usually the only time you get into those big double-digit million numbers. So you have to see if everything is an absolute requirement or if perhaps some of it is just an upgrade that could be cut and done at a later time. And that's something each board needs to look into because there is value at times in just doing it at the same time. So I'd be happy to talk to you tomorrow and try to give you some more specialized direction with regard to your building.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe,
Absolutely.
for the question. And so, Michael, we're going to finish this agenda item with two questions that are regarding your guidance around state. So Charlotte had in the chat, her question was, what about individual owners that can't pay full assessment amount? Is there a state low-cost loan that is available to pay off?
No, not really. That was the upsetting part for me with the state. When they passed all of these very expensive safety laws, they didn't create a funding mechanism to help us, the individuals. The county did, but that program has now been suspended. But you may recall Mayor Daniela Levine Cava had started a program where you could apply if you were income eligible. You had to make less than 90 some odd thousand. I don't remember the exact cutoff. But if your building was undergoing a milestone, a structural repair, or a certification, or a project that required a special assessment, you could apply for a very, very low interest long-term loan for up to 50,000. And it was very helpful. As we've been reading in the newspaper, the county doesn't have those monies anymore, so that's not an option. The state also does have that My Safe Florida program.
Yes.
But again, like I tried to help my father go on and apply for monies and it was all locked up and you go on a waiting list. So there is some money at the state level, but right now it's only for the lowest income bracket. And I suspect before they get out of that bracket, all the money will be gone. So hopefully that's something they'll consider in this upcoming session.
And then our last question for you, as you mentioned that the permitting process was really controlled in the city, is there any legislation that you can think of at a state level that could help support or expedite? Sometimes we see this coupling of legislation, something at a state that then a municipality can either opt into or is incentivized to be able to complete these critical structural repairs, but in a timely manner. So something, something that they can approve so that the buildings can complete those structural repairs in a timely manner. So anything that you can
It's a good question. I get nervous when the state starts overseeing local affairs. Like state preemption is so prominent at so many different levels. I think if the state were to offer financial incentives to cities that could provide expedited permitting, that I would be in favor of. But I'm not in favor of state laws. But to the extent that they do regulate so much money that goes to local government, perhaps they could incentivize local governments that do speed up the process or do other things like that.
Thank you. That was very helpful. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. I put my email in the chat. So nice to see you all. If any of you have questions, please reach out to me tomorrow.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome everyone to the MidBeach Neighborhood Association's October 8th meeting. That was our special presentation. And now we're going to move on to our member working group updates. I'd like to open the floor. We have our board members that are with us today, Alicia Casanova, our vice president. We have Oscar Vasquez, our treasurer, Esteban Porcelli, our general board member, also our historian, takes a lot of videos and pictures for everyone and oversees the Indian Creek Working Group. Oscar Vasquez, our treasurer, also sees the Beach and Water Quality Working Group, and Alicia Casanova oversees the Beach Walk and Transportation Working Groups. Randy Hollingworth, as mentioned earlier in today's meeting, is a representative of the Historic Preservation Board, and MBNA was helpful in trying to introduce him to the commissioners, because as a board member of MBNA, it's so important to us that we have someone that understands that issue and is able to represent our interest and the overall interest of the city on that board, but that we have a liaison with. And within the 41st Street Blue Ribbon Committee, Avra Bank, another MBNA board member, also serves on that committee. We have Jose Flores, who represents our hotels and is with the Addition and represents the Hotel Working Group, and our non-board member resident lead of the Homelessness Working Group is Patricia Medlo, who you also heard from earlier today. So before we go to updates, I want to just open the floor, see if anyone has any comments or questions. Okay, I see everyone in the chat. Thank you. And so beginning with our public spaces, the space on 46th Street, that lot, we've had several meetings over this last couple of months with those that have a concession, a contract agreement with the city of Miami Beach to manage that area. We do have that vision that many of the members were involved in 2019. We still have your survey results. We're still discussing how we can make that area not only after we helped advocate and secure the funding for the updating of the park, but an area where we could just walk to in MidBeach and have some food options, some casual outdoor dining, and recreational options and entertainment as such here in MidBeach without having to enter in more formal clothing into our hotel or condominium properties. And so that is one project that we have been working on. The other public space projects, you can also see them. They've been now itemized on our website, midbeach.net, and we encourage you to review them and reach out when you can. Today, Commissioner Magazine mentioned the bollards. And thank you, Joe, for that video. This past month, we've been seeing vehicles going on to the beach walk. We're very concerned about potential safety. We're hoping those bollards are going to be in sooner than later, especially at the points that are wide open where a car can come on to the beach walk. Luis, did you want to add something on behalf of Commissioner Magazine?
Yes, on behalf of Commissioner Magazine and our office, I'd like to add that right before this meeting, I spoke with Frank Garcia from our facilities and fleet department, and I really communicated to our staff that literally what Commissioner Magazine said in the video. Look, we're all about safety and practicality, just as Chevron Jones says as well. We want to speed this up along without making it cumbersome for the neighborhood, and also we want to be proactive. We don't want to wait for a tragedy to strike because God forbid that does happen, we'll have those bollards up and running in 3 months, and we don't want that to be the issue in MidBeach or anywhere in the city. So just an update on that as well. Facilities and fleet is going to be handing off to CIP at the end of the month. And what we're going to be doing is working with them to have a meeting where we're going to have somebody from MBNA also present when there is that handoff. So we can level set what the expectations are from all the stakeholders, obviously MBNA being one of them.
Thank you, Luis. One of the other items is seating. So there's the area at MidBeach doesn't have any seating, and one of the seating that did have the wood, kind of like the plastic green wood, has been breaking down, and the benches are being removed. And for individuals that need a moment for rest, we've been discussing trying to replicate the seating in 73rd along the beach walk, and the cameras are also still in progress. The city's made a lot of progress, but we're to our knowledge, they're not operational from 46 to 58th in our district. And if there's any other update on the beach walk, Alicia, for your committee, for your working group?
I think you've touched them. Yeah, we're looking at different options to make sure we have the same bench so that there's continuity throughout the beach walk. When you're ready, I'll start transportation, which I think right now is really important. So.
Go ahead. And transportation is our main item on the November 5th meeting. We have a double decker coming to 195. That's going to be our presentation. So today, just like our presentation was on the condo laws, transportation will be our presentation and main focus for the November 5th meeting. Alicia as well chairs the working group for transportation. Alicia, would you like to share a few other projects that we've been working on?
Okay, so what I will do, let me see. Here we go. This is our website page on transportation. And I don't know if you've all noticed that we have begun, the project has begun 41 through 47th. We have Esteban Porcelli who constantly updates us with pictures. We've also had Jackie from Kristen Rosen Gonzalez's office coordinate 2 meetings, August 13th and September 11th, with the FDOT staff. At the August 13th, even Secretary Iglesias, the District 6 Transportation Secretary, joined the meeting. So we're having a lot of updates continuously. And so basically, here's a little bit of what is going to be taking place. They've been listening to our concerns regarding time, regarding where are they going to be setting up, what lane closures are going to be happening, making sure that lane closures do not take place during morning or afternoon rush hours. So far, so good. Of course, we've just started. But if you click on these links, I'm not going to do it now because it'll take too much time, but you will be able to see exactly what will be taking place. Of course, the main thing that's happening is that we're going to have, yes,
Sorry to
go ahead.
interrupt, Alicia, but so the project is there are 2 turn lanes on 41st.
That is correct.
There also, as of today, we had met earlier with the city. There's a site visit for anybody that wants to join us on Monday at in the afternoon. Please reach out to us. Anyone who lives from 24th to 41st Street on Collins, that whole area is lacking proper crosswalks and lights. And the bike lane is like a parking lane, and it's a little bit confusing. And so, to standardize the area and to match the other side of Indian Creek's facilities and to make the area safer, they're also going to do a site visit. FDOT will be out there on Monday with the city and with Charlotte and other MBNA members. So if you're interested in joining, if you live in that area, Caribbean, Beach House, Mosaic, etc., or your hotels, then we encourage you to participate. Any other projects right now that we need to speak about, right, Alicia?
Well, a lot going on with this one. Of course, Indian Creek, the bollards is an issue that was already been addressed. Indian Creek is Esteban's working group, but they're starting to put the Ziklas. The Ziklas are coming in starting next week for Indian Creek, Esteban. We just got notice of that. So if you want to get updates, basically go on to our working group sites, projects of interest. We have Beach Walk, Beach and Water Quality, all these different working groups. And we try to stay current and update information as we learn it. But as I said, the big one is Collins Avenue.
Alicia, and you're totally correct. The Indian Creek is now part of transportation, so I apologize for leaving this separate. So Beach and Water Quality and Homelessness Working Group are the 2 consistent working groups that meet. Beach and Water Quality meets on the 4th Wednesday of the month, and Homelessness Group meets on the 3rd Wednesday of the month. So in homelessness, we have Beach and Water Quality. Oscar Vasquez, do you have a quick update?
Yes, thank you, Anna Marie. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. From an operational standpoint, we're transitioning out of the sargassum season. Although we saw an unexpected increase, I haven't seen this in many years, but we are getting hit with sargassum currently, and the county has fortunately responded effectively and is increasing the frequency and maintaining a strong collection performance despite the uptick. As we approach the end of the season here, though, our focus is shifting towards the next cleanup contract renewal. And we have already been and will continue to be advocating for a more flexible cleanup schedule. And by that, I mean prioritizing the peak months of May through September and tapering down to almost zero in the off months of the year, where right now we have a pretty steady state progress going on that is probably not as efficient as it should be. There have been 2 new topics that have entered the agenda in the Beach and Water Quality Working Group. And the first one is concession encroachment. And basically what that means is that we're getting increasing complaints from members and beachgoers regarding operators of concessions extending way beyond their approved work areas and making it difficult for people to share the beach, so to speak. A little bit of a complicated issue, but if you have any interest in that, that will be one of the main topics of discussion in our October meeting, October 15th in particular. Then there's another topic that has come up that I'm sure is a concern to everybody, especially if you received the Surf Rider Foundation testing updates. And we are showing more and more dangerous levels in the samples taken both in MidBeach and all of Miami Beach for that matter. So there's an increasing and growing concern on the safety and quality of our water.
And what's the
Another
role?
very complicated.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Oscar, just share with the members, what's the role of MBNA within that topic?
Well, within that topic is raising awareness. Certainly, there's nothing that we can particularly do to fix it other than advocate and raise awareness within the state and county groups that do have an impact in that, and make sure that it's on their
But
radar and that
our
we're.
city, I thought our city pipes and our infrastructure here in the city isn't that why everyone was at the commission meetings the other day? Is there a role, or is there something that MBNA is doing?
Yeah, well, there's multiple roles. The one you're referring to on the city side is one that becomes very prevalent when the tides are high, and you see a lot more uh, going through the drains. And the short term fix is making sure those things drain correctly, but the long term fix relies in purification of that water going through those drains before it enters into the either the river or the ocean in some cases. But we've just basically started talking about it in the last meeting. And in this coming meeting, we're going to hope to dig a little deeper and better understand what role we play.
Thank you for that, and I'm looking forward to learning more. So our last update, or last group that will be presenting an update today is the Homelessness Working Group. This is our newest working group, and as Oscar mentioned, the beach and water quality is the third Wednesday, correct, Oscar? October 15th?
That's correct.
October 15th
Yep.
at 4 p.m. And all our working groups meet at 4. And that's only because there's city staff and agencies that meet with us. So I know it's not a great time for those of us that work, but it works well for us to have more interagency participation. And the Beach and Water Quality Commissioner, just like Mayor Miner's office, Blake has been really attending those meetings and participating and assisting and getting some of those state agencies. So that's a great example of why it's been really beneficial to host those meetings at 4 o'clock. And the MBNA Homelessness Working Group update and action plan. Patricia, if you could quickly go through this, I think it's going to be really important to just share with everyone how this might be.
Gladly, thank you.
Yeah, with the background of it. So we're going to go ahead and do the slideshow.
If we can just move it back a little bit.
1 second.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. I'd like to start by thanking Anna Marie and the MBNA board for their continued support of this initiative. I'd also like to extend appreciation to the Miami Beach Police Department, particularly Sergeant Jerome Berrien and Janae Guerrero from the Office of Housing and Community Services for their ongoing cooperation and partnership. Next slide, please. As we come together this evening, it's important to remember why we're here. Our shared commitment to addressing homelessness in Miami Beach is not just about statistics. It's about people, partnerships, and progress. The collaboration between community organizations, city departments, and local leadership has been critical in moving this work forward. With that in mind, let's take a look at where we currently stand. The latest homeless count shows a slight improvement citywide, 122 unsheltered individuals compared to 132 last year. That's an 8% decrease overall for Miami Beach. While that's encouraging, the data only tells part of the story. Even though the numbers have gone down citywide, next slide, please. We're clearly seeing a shift. Individuals displaced from South Beach are moving northward into MidBeach. Residents have observed more activity, particularly along the Beach Walk and 41st Street, and I understand there's also an encampment on 39th Street. It's important that we acknowledge this trend and respond with consistency and coordination. So why does reporting matter? Reporting matters because it keeps the issue visible and ensures accountability. The more consistent we are, the better the city and police can target resources and maintain public safety. Every report adds up to a stronger, data-driven response. How do you report? When you see a homeless individual or encampment, call the police department's non-emergency line at 305-673-7900 or 305-673-7901. Please avoid direct interaction. Photos can be helpful, but only when it's safe, such as if the individual is asleep or unaware. Safety is always our top priority. The Adopt a Block program remains one of our best tools for community engagement. Volunteers select a block, observe once or twice a week, and report issues through the non-emergency line. Everything you need, including sign-up and monthly input forms, is on the MBNA website under the Homelessness Working Group. Our next step
before we move on, I did want to say, so as soon as the form is completed, it goes to MBNA. We can also submit the forms, all go to Patricia. We will forward all of those also to Patricia, but they do automatically go into MBNA because they're MBNA forms and they're on the website. You can find them on the MidBeach website and then we can also email them, whatever. It's very easy. So if you see, you can report it via the number, but you can also choose to adopt a block where the reporting is consistent. So we'll have adopt a block members. Everybody's going to meet at an upcoming meeting where we can discuss how everyone's doing and how things are moving along in MidBeach.
Yes, and also what ideas you may have to improve the protocol. We're always open to suggestions. So thank you, Anna Marie. Our next step is simple but powerful. Sign up. Check in regularly and report what you see. The more eyes and voices we have, the stronger our impact will be. Please encourage your neighbors to get involved. Collective effort is key to making visible change. And please join our working group meetings. Our next meeting is Wednesday, October 22nd at 4 p.m. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me at patricia_agnello@yahoo.com. Thanks so much and have a great evening. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patricia. And
Thank you.
Feel free to add to the chat or email us directly.
Thank you for your initiative. It's very valuable for us.
Thank you, Alicia.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Do we have police or anyone from the city that would like to say a few words or present on any topics today?
Officer Hazy, I see, is on.
Officer Hazy.
Hey, how are you? I had Sergeant Carvajal that was going to speak. Let me see if he's here.
I apologize. Usually we have the police speak at the beginning. We do introductions in the beginning, but with the senator's schedule, we changed a little bit of the format of today's meeting and moved things around. Anyone else? Oh, hi, Sergeant. Welcome.
Hi, good evening.
Wait, are you sitting in your car on 41st with the lights on?
One of 5 cars.
Are you one of the 7 cars on 41st right now? Are you in the tank? There was a tank out there yesterday.
Yep.
A tank.
Yes, doing circles. Unfortunately, no, I'm an ATV sergeant. We just finished doing our sweeps on the beach, and I'm in my vehicle right now, yes.
Great to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Share with us what brings you to MidBeach Neighborhood Association's meeting.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. My name is Sergeant Carvajal. I am the supervisor in charge of the ATV units. Our team is comprised of 4 officers, 2 on each side of the week. We cover the beach all the way from South Point all the way to the north end. Any questions and concerns that you may have, any issues that you may see. I understand that the statistics, as mentioned, have gone down. One of our main focus is quality of life. We do focus on the public safety in regards to any camping ordinances that have been in violation, any drinking in public, and of course, assisting the homeless resource unit in finding any shelters for any individuals that do need assistance. My team is excellent. They have been out there. We do our morning sweeps. We greet the people that are out there looking at the sunrise, and we're very much engaged with the beachgoers. So whatever issues and concerns, if you have any questions for me, I'll be more than glad to take anything.
So a couple of questions. So have you seen, we saw some cars being stuck on the beach. That seems to be something that's common. So cars are still going onto the beach walk. Have you all been seeing that as well? Or do you feel it's consistent or?
So I don't see it as a consistent problem. They do go out there. It does happen once in a blue moon. During our shift, we are scheduled from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. I haven't seen it. Usually it happens during the midnight hours. Sometimes a tourist, they'll get lost, they make a wrong turn, they go into the beach walk, and they do get stuck. Yes.
And we heard there were some robberies, individuals that were coming into properties off of the first and second floor balconies or cabanas or properties or units that are closer to the bottom floor, but that the police has been very effective in obtaining the suspects. Does the ATV unit play a role in that? How does that happen? Are you familiar with those incidences?
Yes, absolutely. So we do have a very strong collaborative effort along with our criminal investigations division. They do issue out flyers and bolos to show more awareness of what these individuals are. My team is aware of who these suspects are. They are repeat offenders. And to my understanding, one of the two was apprehended not too long ago, and actually provided a full statement to the detective that's handling the case. So we are hoping for the prosecution to move on forward that way, so we don't, deal with these offenders. But yes, to answer your question, we do work hand in hand with the criminal investigations division. We do pick up the flyers if there's any issues with any repeat offenders that go onto the beach. My team has been very, very good statistically, also with producing mass arrest involving any issues.
As you know, the Homelessness Working Group is one of our key working groups here in MBNA. Is the ATV part of that team that goes out and does observations or walks or reports, or what is your role, or what's your team's role in that?
Yes, like I said, we work hand in hand with the homeless resource team. Sergeant Barron and I have a very good relationship. So, like I said, our main focus for the ATV units is quality of life. As long as we don't observe any crimes being committed, we do provide shelter. We do provide options. That's where we make contact with the resource officers to provide any options to, get these individuals help. That being said, we have a very strong zero tolerance on any violations involving, any crimes that are being committed. So, setting that to the side, if there are individuals that do need a lot of help, we do offer the assistance. But we are addressing any violations, and we are moving on forward with arrest.
We have two more questions. Patricia Agnello.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sergeant. So I also wanted to add, if I may, that the park rangers have also been very helpful when I call them, for example, for help, or I track them down. They've been very effective as well.
Absolutely. They are great resource for us. They've been a very helpful, like I said, for the entire beach. I do only have a 4-man team. We do get a lot of assistance from the road officers as well if we are needed. But yes, Patricia, the park rangers have been great informants for us as well. If they observe anything and we don't really get called by any complainant, they are our eyes and ears, and we do work hand in hand with them.
Yes. And one other question, if I may, though. Sergeant, did the gentleman that you apprehend, with the criminal case that you were just talking about? Did he give up the other guy or he didn't?
So he didn't need to give him up because he's already identified. We already know who he is. I don't want to get into too much detail because it is a criminal investigations division's, part where I don't want to get involved into their case. But yes, we already have him identified, and it's someone that we have our eye on in the event that if we make contact with him, we already know how to deal with him. Yes.
And last question, what brought you to the to speak today at MBNA's meeting?
Absolutely. Mr. Hazy, Officer Hazy has been great. He's a phenomenal resource officer. We have a great relationship, but I also am representing my captain, Shannon Madison. She's, an amazing captain, and she felt that it was important for me to introduce myself to the association.
Well, I'm so glad we got to meet. It's so nice to know there's all these little there's all sub units, but that everyone's working together. And it's really comforting to see, from the park rangers to the ATV to the road assistants to those. We don't see them as much anymore, but we used to see a lot of bikes and patrolling on the beach walk. And so I think maybe that's changed a little bit over the last couple of years, but it's great to know that you all are out there, and we really appreciate your service. Any other final comments from yourself or from anyone else?
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Take care. Okay, so we are going to wrap up our general agenda. Is there any other items that someone would like to bring forward at this time?
Anna Marie, I wanted to make a really quick update to the members on what's going on in the Miami Beach Promenade.
Sure. So the Miami Beach Promenade is one of our premier public space projects, and it's undergoing a pilot where so we have a long-term vision, which is what Alicia is showing right now on the website, of the feasibility study to create and to revision this area. And then there's also a part of the project that we would like to call our short-term improvements, where we're advocating for the city to maintain it and to upgrade it in the meantime, while we take a couple of years to finish the feasibility study and begin the design of it and master plan what this will eventually look like. Oscar, who's our resident lead on the project, share with us a little more.
Yeah, thanks, Anna Marie. So for those of you that are not familiar with the drive, it stretches from 24th Street to 29th Street, and it's one block east of Collins. And it was, in fact, a service road in the 1920s, and over the years evolved from a service road to what used to be called Miami Beach Drive, and now, of course, formerly referred to as Miami Beach Promenade. For anybody that is familiar with this space, you'll recognize two things. One is what Anna Marie indicated, that it's a premier space. However, it's not looking very premier at this time. And that's for a number of reasons, but probably the biggest reason was the confusion as to who owns the space and its maintenance. So the city of Miami Beach has recognized that it is a Miami Beach responsibility, and the space completely belongs to Miami Beach. And as such, and thanks to Commissioner Fernandez, the city approved $500,000 in 2024 for a feasibility study and a master plan for the promenade. And the firm of Curtis and Rogers is leading the project. We've met with them a couple of times and continue to get good feedback on their progression, as well as provided them with an MBNA vision, which you can see on our website in the areas that Alicia is currently scrolling. It's under the Miami Beach Promenade. And we're looking to get more of the folks in this, especially in this stretch of the beach, involved in the vision of what this is going to look like. But most importantly, yesterday and today, actually, the city went ahead and painted a particular area that sits right behind the Oceanfront Plaza condominium with some potential options on a short-term beautification, which is essentially painting the concrete surface and just cleaning the pavers. And MBNA feels that this will be a very cost-efficient short-term upgrade. And certainly we look for feedback from the members in MidBeach, in particular those on this stretch, both on the short-term beautification and the long-term project.
Yeah, so are there
Thank
any,
you.
thank you so much, Oscar. Are there any members that are from those properties that might have any questions or want to engage? And then Kevin, where is the city, the consultant on the surveying and reaching out to the properties?
Hi, good evening. Kevin Polito, Neighborhood Affairs Division Director. So we are working with the consultant and the team. We're actually just finalized the survey earlier today. So those of you that live along Miami Beach Drive, you'll start to receive a postcard in the mail probably later this week, early next week, as well as that email with the survey coming out this week. There is going to be the entire period of the data collection is going to go until November 21st. Then there's also going to be a charrette, which is going to be publicly noticed. We'll be sending you all the information tentatively for October 21st. So as soon as we get that finalized, we'll send it your way.
You're having a full charrette, like a community charrette for that entire area?
We're going to the 21st is going to be more of an open public meeting citywide charrette, including that area. And then there's going to be smaller charrettes going forward as well. Yes.
Okay, so Tuesday the 21st is the first time.
Tuesday 21st is the big one. Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably get those details out to those members as quickly as possible because you'd want a good number to show up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? And board members, please remind me. I know there's so many projects that MBNA is working on. Anything else that we'd like to share? Okay, our next meeting is Wednesday, November 5th, and the focus will be transportation. Again, double-decker, 195, 38th, two turn lanes on 41st, lights, Art Basel, lots and lots going on. So please do join us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna Marie. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.